Psychology of feeling stupid, despite being intelligent. Have you ever sat in a room full of people and thought, everyone here is smarter than me? Have you ever finished a test you studied weeks for and still felt like you guessed every answer? Have you ever accomplished something significant and immediately thought, I just got lucky? Here's what's strange. The people who feel this way the most aren't actually stupid. They're often the most intelligent people in the room. According to research from Cornell University, there's an inverse relationship between actual intelligence and perceived competence. The smarter you are, the more likely you are to doubt yourself. This isn't modesty. This isn't low self-esteem. This is your brain operating exactly as a highly intelligent brain should. Let's break down the real psychology behind feeling stupid, despite being intelligent. 1. You understand how much you don't know. Most people have heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where less competent people overestimate their abilities. But here's what nobody talks about. There's a flip side. Dr. David Dunning's research at Cornell found that highly intelligent people consistently underestimate their competence because they're acutely aware of the vast amount they don't know. Picture this. You're learning about climate science. A person with surface-level knowledge reads one article and thinks, I understand climate change now. You read 10 books, follow the latest research, and realize the topic is infinitely more complex than you imagined. You don't feel smarter. You feel overwhelmed by everything you still don't understand. This is called the burden of knowledge. A 2022 study in cognitive psychology found that experts in any field rate their own knowledge lower than novices do. Why? Because expertise reveals complexity. The more you learn, the more you see the gaps. You're not stupid. You're experiencing intellectual humility, which is actually a marker of intelligence. But here's where it gets interesting. 2. You can think about your own thinking. Psychologists call this metacognition, the ability to analyze your own thought processes. Research from Stanford University shows that highly intelligent people have heightened metacognitive abilities. You don't just think. You think about how you think. You question your reasoning. You spot your own logical fallacies. When you solve a problem, your brain immediately runs diagnostics. Did I miss something? Is there a better solution? What assumptions did I make? Less intelligent people don't run this analysis. They reach a conclusion and stop. A 2023 study in the Journal of Educational Psychology found that high IQ individuals spend 40% more time questioning their own answers than average IQ individuals. This isn't overthinking. This is quality control. You second-guess yourself because you're capable of seeing multiple perspectives, alternative solutions, and potential errors. That voice in your head saying, but what if I'm wrong, isn't self-doubt, it's intellectual rigor. And let's be honest about something else. 3. Your internal bar is set higher than everyone else's. Research from Harvard shows that intelligent people develop internal standards based on their potential, not on average performance. You don't compare your work to good enough. You compare it to what it could be. And the gap between those two things feels massive. When you write a report, you see every weakness, every place it could be stronger, every argument you could refine. Your colleague writes the same report, calls it done, and feels accomplished. You see a first draft that needs 12 more revisions. This is called perfectionism with high standards. A 2021 study found that individuals with IQs above 120 report 60% higher rates of self-criticism than the general population. Not because their work is worse, because they can envision better. The cruel irony: your work is probably already excellent, but your ability to imagine the ideal version makes the actual version feel inadequate. You're not failing to meet standards. You're exceeding everyone else's while falling short of your own impossible ones. But wait, there's more. 4. You attribute success to luck and failure to ability. Dr. Pauline Clancy's research on imposter syndrome found that high-achieving individuals systematically discount their accomplishments. When you succeed, your brain generates explanations. The test was easy. You got lucky. Someone helped you. It wasn't that impressive. But here's what's fascinating. You don't apply this logic to failure. When you fail, you immediately attribute it to your own inadequacy. Your brain creates an asymmetric attribution pattern, where nothing you do well counts as evidence of intelligence. A study from the University of Texas found that 70% of graduate students with GPAs above 3.8 reported feeling like frauds despite objective evidence of high ability. Why? Because intelligent people have enough imagination to generate alternative explanations for their success. Less intelligent people don't engage in this level of causal analysis. You feel like an imposter, not because you are one, but because you're smart enough to see that success involves factors beyond pure ability. That awareness, ironically, is itself evidence of sophisticated thinking. Here's what nobody understands. 5. Learning makes you feel less knowledgeable, not more. Research from MIT on the expanding circle of ignorance shows that as your knowledge increases, so does your awareness of what you don't know. Imagine knowledge as a circle. Inside the circle is what you know. The perimeter is the boundary where known meets unknown. As the circle grows, so does the perimeter. When you knew nothing about quantum physics, you didn't know what questions to ask. Now that you've studied it, you're acutely aware of the hundreds of concepts you haven't mastered yet. Learning didn't make you feel smarter, it revealed more unknowns. A 2022 study in Nature Neuroscience found that acquiring expertise in a domain correlates with increased anxiety about knowledge gaps. Beginners feel confident, experts feel uncertain. This is called the valley of despair in the learning curve. You feel stupid when learning new things, not because you're failing, but because intelligence allows you to see the full scope of what expertise actually requires. That overwhelming feeling, that's awareness, not inadequacy. And here's the final piece. 6. You're surrounded by specialized experts. In the modern world, you interact daily with people who are the top 1% in their specific domains. Your doctor knows medicine, your lawyer knows law, your mechanic knows cars. Your brain sees all these experts and concludes everyone knows something I don't, therefore I must be stupid. Research from the University of Chicago shows that intelligent people engage in more frequent social comparison and feel more acutely the limitations of their own knowledge when exposed to others' expertise. You're not stupid, you're experiencing the natural result of being aware of others' competence. A 2023 study found that high IQ individuals report feeling intellectually inferior 3-4 times more frequently than average IQ individuals, despite objective measures showing the opposite. Why? Because intelligence makes you better at recognizing expertise in others. You feel inadequate, not because you are, but because you're perceptive enough to appreciate the depth of knowledge others possess in their specialties. That's not stupidity. That's respect for expertise combined with honest self-assessment. So what does all this mean? If you feel stupid despite evidence that you're intelligent, your brain isn't malfunctioning, you're not suffering from low self-esteem, you're experiencing the natural cognitive effects of high intelligence, awareness of complexity, metacognitive analysis, elevated standards, asymmetric attribution, expanding knowledge boundaries, and accurate assessment of others' expertise. The next time you feel inadequate, remember this. Feeling stupid is often a sign you're smart enough to understand what you don't know. The Dunning-Kruger effect works both ways. Idiots feel brilliant. Intelligent people feel inadequate. You're not stupid. You're just smart enough to know the difference. If this resonated, leave a comment about the last time you felt intellectually inadequate. I read every one, and remember, your doubt isn't weakness, it's proof of intelligence.